answer and some oral argument requests for a case that has been brought up against me.
Okay, so welcome to King Cast Mortgage Movies. Pardon the head cold, but this is a fairly simple but apparently abusive case. It seems, well, Cheryl Peterson called me to document her filing her responses to a motion for default judgment that was levied against her by her apartment complex. She had moved out, I believe, in March of last year, or this year, and they had represented to her that they had tenants ready to move in April, so that was part of the benefit of the bargain, I take it. And then there was a dispute as to paint and some other charges that were levied against her. So she requested debt validation from the attorney, Mark O'Mara. And all she had at that time was a summons and a complaint with no case number. So she requested debt validation. And instead of receiving validation, then they turned around and filed the lawsuit and tried to get a hearing, a judgment against her without an oral hearing. So she's fighting this, and I'm looking at it thinking this is yet another abusive landlord situation. And to hell if it isn't. It looks like it to me. So let's just see what happens in court. Now that she's got to have her day in court, I'll be there for the oral argument that she's entitled to. She requested it, that she has counterclaims, and we'll see where it goes. That's it.
We're off to Judge Schaefer's chambers to go deliver my answers to O'Mara's uncanny and absurd allegations towards me and his request for no oral arguments, which is...
Gotta keep it on the low, huh?
Yeah.
Well, King Cast Movies, we're here with Cheryl Peterson. Ms. Peterson, let's take a look at what you got there today.
Well, what do I have? I have responses to this attorney, Mr. O'Mara, who was trying to get a judgment
against you?
Against me.
Yeah.
Without any oral arguments or giving me information that I've asked for to resolve the matter.
So understand, you were a tenant at what apartment complex?
Langara Apartments in Issaquah.
Okay, and you moved out in March.
Correct, end of March, yeah.
And you were told, however, that they had a tenant for April.
Correct.
Which was part of the bargain why you moved out in March.
Right, before the end of March, yeah.
Yes, okay. So let's get you right in front of that door. That's perfect. So then you moved out, and you had some agreements on that. And during the time you were there, you had some painting done to your unit, right?
Right, I painted my 3 bedrooms upstairs on my own money because it was certain colors my kids wanted. And so I had taken care of that.
But you told me that you used one of their recommended painters for that, right?
I did, yeah.
And they charged you what?
$300 I paid the guy myself.
Okay, but yet when you moved out, they turned around and said that they're charging you for, they eventually told you they were charging you for a
full painting for the full unit and for $600.
I see, when really they did an accent wall.
Right, the only thing that they did initially was an accent wall, which is something that is for everybody that moves in. They give you a choice and give you an accent wall, don't charge you.
Right, so as I understand it then, you were in the process of, you received a summons and a complaint that had no case number initially, right?
Correct. Somebody served me, a gentleman just served me papers and said, hey, get in contact with these people. This is just a warning. If you don't get in contact with them, then they're going to file suit against you.
Okay, so and you had a 21-day window to do that. Mm-hmm. Okay, so before the 21 days expired, you got a phone call from someone at that company, correct?
Yes.
And what happened then?
She proceeded to, I acknowledged to her, yes, I was needing to get this matter resolved, and I proceeded to discuss with her a couple of the issues I had with the last bill I received from them. I didn't have them in front of me at the time because I was at work, and but I explained them to her, and she proceeded to get really hostile with me, and really mean and aggressive with me, and I was trying to work out a settlement and just arrange some payments, and she was hearing none of it, and she called me. She said, you know, every person says they're a single mom, you can't pay your bills, you avoid your bills. I mean, just some really awful things, and I called with the intent of getting this resolved, and I wasn't trying to skirt it at all.
Right, and so, you know, that type of rudeness and inappropriate behavior could be violent.
She hung up on me. She wouldn't let me finish, and she just got mad at me and hung up on me.
Right. See, that type of behavior could be violative of the statute, of the Fair Debt Collection Practices statute. I'm not sure about that, but I'm glad you called me about this. So to wind up here, now you eventually, you wrote them a letter. You asked for validation of the debt.
Correct. I asked for some validation of the debt, and I also asked for a recording of the conversation that I had with a woman who did not state her name very well. I guessed at it, and I asked for a copy of the recording of the phone call, and I also asked for more detail about the charges that I was being charged with,
Okay.
so I could get clarification.
And that was in the middle of October, right?
Yeah, towards the end of October.
Okay, and yet, instead of responding, they just slapped a lawsuit on you and then tried to get a hearing without an oral argument.
Correct.
Wow, that is dirty pool.
Yeah, I didn't hear anything. I faxed and mailed a letter off to Mr. O'Mara on the 28th of October. I heard nothing until at the end of last week. I get a packet in the mail, and there was something to be judgment against me as of today, the 12th, and I had no time virtually to address this, and so it put me in a really difficult spot.
Right, so you stayed up all weekend and wrote your answers and everything,
Yep.
and you have a counterclaim, I guess you're telling me?
I do.
Right, for unjust enrichment.
Right.
They're charging more than they should. They're kind of defrauding the court, in my opinion, because they're making it seem like you're a deadbeat when you were on point the whole time.
Right.
Okay, well, let's go ahead and get you recorded filing this.
Okay, thanks.
Good luck to you.